sure. Okay. What up, guys? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers, or should I say, Full Circle Films. Ew, thanks for coming back with some more popcorns. That's the name of our production company now, guys. It's Full Circle Films, which is what we're doing late court under.
LLC, baby.
Yes, sir. And this is Andrew. You guys have seen him on the channel before. I think we did a screen review together and everything like that. But yeah, he's my partner. He's also the screenwriter.
That's right.
For
Full
Late
Circle
Court.
Films, baby, because everything goes back full circle.
Yeah, that comes from us working together years and years and years ago, losing touch a little bit. Nothing on bad terms or anything. We just, life has its way. And then somehow or another, life had its way and met us up a little bit. We started doing some things. Next thing you know, full circle, we're making movies together. So that's what we named the company.
Right on.
So we just got out of Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. And we decided, let's talk about this and do like a spoiler review at this bar.
Yeah, this is going to have spoilers, baby. All right?
More of a spoiler discussion. So, we'll tell you how we feel about it, if we liked it or not and all that stuff. But we are going to go into specifics because this movie is just, it's actually full of...
It's packed full of way too many things. You almost can't talk about this without spoiling it. So, we just have to do this as a spoiler alert.
Yeah, it'd be like, let me talk about the movie because it was, remember when... I can't say, yeah, so we're spoiling it up. So, first and foremost... Y'all saw No Way Home, I'm sure. Y'all saw the events of that. Strange tearing up and ripping up the universe due to Peter's dumbass changing up his spell on him. So, I was thinking that this was going to kind of directly bounce off of that, but it really didn't at all.
There is a mention of Spider-Man, and it's clear that they're making it. It's clear that they are suggesting to you or reminding you that he doesn't remember who Peter Parker is. He remembers who Spider-Man is, and that's about the only reference that you get to the Spider-Man to the No Way Home stuff, aside from the multiverse being broken open from the spell.
But they didn't. I don't feel like that they even really referred to that a whole lot. Is it like when we see what happens in this? Because basically, what starts off in this movie is you see a Doctor Strange, a version of Doctor Strange, and this character, America Chavez. She's from the comics. She's kind of a newer character, but they're fighting this galactic monster out in some other dimension, and all these events go down, and where she ends up in our dimension, and basically that had nothing to do with the dimensions breaking open from No Way Home, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, touche. So yeah, there's not a time reference in it. There's not like that this happened a year ago or whatnot. So I guess you're right.
It just kind of felt like the way they made this trailer at the end of No Way Home. I was like, man, this is going to coattail, like not just after or because this is connected to No Way Home, but it wasn't really at all. So except that it had Doctor Strange, and like you said, he mentioned that he knew of Spider-Man, but that was it.
Yeah, which is it. And it turns out the interesting thing behind this whole multiverse thing that they're doing is they're making it seem as if every time you dream, what you are dreaming is what the other you in this 72 whatever multiverses is experiencing, which explains the dream that he had when he wakes up and because he sees America Chavez in his world and he's like, Do I know you?
And and I skipped over that. And when you see that opening scene, it turns out that whole thing was a dream that Doctor Strange was having. I liked that interpretation of when you dream, it's another multiverse. I thought that was pretty clever.
It made my mind go, oh my God, is that what's real? Is that happening to me?
For real. I'm like, every time I dream, I was like, so man, when I'm hooking up with that hot, famous chick, is that really happening in another universe?
For real.
Yeah, so I thought that was clever. And look, at the end of the day, this was a great Marvel movie. It was not my favorite Marvel movie, but it wasn't a letdown. It was kind of exactly what I was expecting because it was a Sam Raimi movie.
Oh, for sure.
Straight up Sam Raimi movie. And I love Sam Raimi for all the way from back in the day, Evil Dead, the Spider-Man trilogy he did. But I like The Great and Powerful Oz. I like The Gift, A Simple Plan. He's done a lot of cool movies.
Yeah.
But this one, if you're a Sam Raimi from the old day, even the score some of the times with the You know,
Oh, yeah.
the lots of scary tactics in this. It's a scary movie.
Well, it came out months and months and months ago that this was going to be a scarier Marvel movie than we've ever seen before. And when you find out Sam Raimi's attached to it, like, well, of course, because he's got that creative, crazy mind where everything's going to be a little scary, everything's going to be a little creative and CGI and all it says in the title, Multiverse of Madness. What do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it was. It definitely was all over the place. But I don't think it was too all over the place in the sense where I was just like, I don't understand what's going on. I mean, it did get a little wild. I do think in certain parts of the plot, they sort of jumped a little far. Like, there's certain things that it's like, oh, they got to, instead of going to point A to point B, they went from like point A to Z in certain areas and didn't really explain
but then
stuff
they went,
in between.
but then they went back to B.
Right.
And then to C, D, D, E, F, G, and then back to, all kinds of
it was like, but it was
yeah.
Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
But I do think that, like, the Sam Raimi director, like the camera shots that are zooming close and inside and all that. I mean, that was really cool.
If you know Sam Raimi's style, you definitely know. Okay, I get it. Yes, this is why they used Sam Raimi for this film.
Yeah, it definitely it is the scariest Marvel movie I've seen yet. So.
And when we say that, we just mean it's not like horror movie scary. We just mean it has some scary elements. Where a spoiler alert, Wanda is the bad guy.
Yeah, she is the villain.
She is the villain. She is full on Scarlet Witch. Full on, which is the dark side of witchcraft. And they make some scenes pretty scary. I mean,
there's jump scares. And look, I have to say, I saw Clint. Clint's another one of our good buddies who actually worked back at the Blue Goose back in the day with us. But there was a couple, because there are jump scares in the movie. There's a couple moments I saw Clint, and I could see, like, I'm not dogging on you by any means, brother, but I could see, like, that you jump, but you also tamed it. You tamed the jump pretty well. It wasn't a full on, like, oh, I could see you were like, oh, all right, that got me a little bit. And it did too. There was a couple moments where I got a little jump scare. But her being the villain, she's pretty evil the whole time. And one of the things right away that I thought was really cool with Sam Raimi doing this, and it's about witchcraft, is he immediately like, well, I'm putting the Book of the Dead, the Book of the Damned in there. Because like the Necronomicon is in this movie. I mean, it straight up is, and it's awesome that it's.
But it just didn't call it that.
No. But if you're a Sam Raimi fan, you're immediately like, that's the fucking Necronomicon. That's awesome. So I was stoked about that when I saw it.
Yeah.
And before we even get any more spoilers, and this is kind of a spoiler, Bruce Campbell is in every Sam Raimi movie, and he's definitely in this one. And it is definitely my favorite cameo that he's been in.
For sure.
And it's a straight nod to Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And just the way they do it and the fact that it's magic involved. And I mean, it was very clever. And if you're not a Sam Raimi fan, it's funny. But if you're a Sam Raimi fan, it's like, oh, this is greatness.
Yeah,
so,
if you're a Sam Raimi fan, you get it. Not only is it funny, but I see what you did there.
You sons of bitches, you got me. So I got some notes that I took down here. You know, the introduction of new characters they're doing in these Marvel movies now. So we talked about a little bit about sort of like the legacy in this crazy first-time roller coaster ride of these movies all coinciding, connecting together. We feel like kind of hit its peak at Endgame. Yes, Spider-Man Far From Home is still great, and there's still great movies in between, but I feel like it's kind of been on an encore coast, and then when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, I personally feel like that's sort of like everything after No Way Home moving forward is just more comic booky and not so much like prior to that and prior to Endgame. These were movies that were like, you could tell people that didn't like comic book movies, you could be like, no, trust me, but you got to go see Iron Man. I'm telling you, man. I know you don't like all this kind of stuff normally, but you got to see these movies. And I think now moving forward, they're kind of back to like, if you're not a comic book movie fan, you're not going to like this. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that I think the vibe that I'm getting from a lot of people just around reviews and whatnot is that after Endgame, Marvel kind of peaked. It's like, well, I mean, I liked watching Iron Man and all that sort of stuff and leading up to Endgame, but now it's over. What am I supposed to watch now? What are you guys trying to continue to do now? Captain America is gone. Iron Man, Tony Stark is gone. Those are the people. Those are the characters that people started really liking, and they didn't really know much about them anyways. Spider-Man always is something that people are going to want to watch. Iron Man, nobody really cared about or knew about until 2008. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think there is a like I just said, like you just said. I think it peaked at Endgame. If you're watching now, you are invested in what Marvel is doing as a whole.
You're a fan.
You're a fan. You're a fan.
You're more of a nerd.
Yeah,
like
you're no longer a casual fan. You are really invested in wondering and wanting to see where they're continuing to go with this, because it's just not the same.
It just isn't. What I was saying about the characters is that, and certain things that they're just kind of starting to shove them in and like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
so this is how this is. Oh, okay, this is who this person is. And while it can be cool, they're like, let me kind of backtrack on something off of, even though this isn't about Doctor Strange, about WandaVision. So, for example, Monica Rambeau, I could have gotten to know her a little better. You know, like, I don't think for as powerful as she's supposed to turn out to be, and then she ends up helping in the end, I didn't really feel like I cared about her arc enough to really be in like that moment to where she turns into Pulsar or whatever. She's got all kinds of different aliases.
But nobody knows that if you're not a comic book person.
Right. And so because of that, they need to paint that picture a little bit better for the people that aren't comic book people. You know, for example, that's the way that it was done in Batman Begins, in The Dark Knight, in the original Tim Burton Batman, the original Richard Donner Superman. You didn't have to be a comic book fan to get the feeling and the movement of these characters. Right. Oh, and guess what? They just happen to be superheroes too.
Right.
Now it's very much, if you aren't a superhero fan, or like he says, invested in what Marvel is doing as a whole, then it's kind of not.
Yeah.
It's just not hitting on all those cylinders it used to hit on.
And spoiler alert: if you're not aware already, the Disney Plus shows are now linking to the films. WandaVision is something you all have to watch in order to be able to be up to speed on what Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is doing, because you have to understand why Wanda turned into the full-on Scarlet Witch and why she is evil with a redemption-like quality. And
it really, even if you've seen all the movies, you don't really know why she would be bad.
Right.
You have to watch WandaVision to understand why she's in the state that she's in this movie. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely is making you kind of buy into the whole package of Disney, which I can appreciate that. But I just feel like it's kind of just...
They don't hold any punches either. I mean, they straight up say, she says to him, I was wondering when you're going to come visit me about what happened in Westview. And he was like, I'm not here to talk to you about Westview. So he knows, which is supposed to assume that we all know what happened in Westview, what she's referring to, which is the events in Disney Plus's WandaVision.
With Agatha and all that stuff. And I mean, and again, I was kind of hoping to see Vision at some point, which I know we will one down the road. But
man, that is another thing that if you watched WandaVision, there is a white Vision that showed up, and I just don't know where that was going, because you haven't seen him since. I thought if there's a better time to show him, it would be him showing up in this movie and kind of being like, Wanda, stop this. You know what I'm saying? But
watch, he's going to show up in like Guardians 3 or something, or in like Captain Marvel 2, or the Marvels is what you're calling it now. Not even Captain Marvel 2, it's called The Marvels.
Right.
So, I mean, he is going to show back up. They wrote him that way for a reason. But I don't know if you noticed this on WandaVision, on the actual show on Disney Plus, the original one, when it shows Wanda at the very end out in where she was, in the middle of nowhere practicing her magic.
Right.
Like, few months later, after that was completely fully aired, the finale had already aired, they came back in and they re-edited that white Vision flying away from that area around her. You see him he's like lifting off, like he's like checking out some shit or something. So they're doing something with that character.
Well, for sure. I mean, one thing about Marvel is they are kind of machine-like, in that they are just, spitting stuff out, but they do have reasons for it.
They do have reasons for it.
We just don't understand why all the time.
I think that and first off, let me just say, this is a really good movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was great. It's going on the Blu-ray shelf. I didn't really have any problems with it. There were some problems I felt like with Rachel McAdams acting, and the same thing with Elizabeth Olsen. Maybe it's just that she felt like she was just sort of this angry, crying voice the whole time she was talking in the movie, and I don't know. I wanted to see her more like pissed.
Well, we can get into all that if you want. One thing that bothers me, I guess, about Christine coming back, which is
Rachel
McAdams, is suddenly she comes back into Strange's life as his love interest. It's like, well, where's she been since Strange 1? You know, I understand on one level that he was dealing with a lot of other stuff in the universe, but there was no chance for her to have a cameo in Infinity War or Endgame at all to kind of just show that Strange is still thinking about her, or that she's still in the universe, in the picture, you know. And then with who else did you just mention?
In this movie?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just the two girls. McAdams and Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh, so Elizabeth Olsen, I feel like there was a great character arc for her where when you meet her in Age of Ultron, and she's got that accent, which obviously was also disappeared.
Easy with that.
When you meet her in Ultron, where she's got that accent, which somehow disappeared, by the way, and then the character art where she goes into WandaVision and she's created this family in her mind, and then she's kind of learning her powers, and you think that she's doing she's a superhero, and then suddenly she turns evil because she gets a hold of the what they call the Darkhold, which is like dark witchcraft. And it all stems from her because she created a family in her mind that she was not able to substantiate, so now it's like what?
But it's because the book, and Clint pointed out, he was right. It's because the book corrupts you, though, too. So it's also that the evil of the Darkhold has got that dark hold on you too. It's the same way that the dark Stephen Strange was thinking that same way at the very end when he started fighting him. Because it had a hold on him. He was sweating with the third eye and all that. So I think it's partially because she's upset. She lost Vision. She lost her fake family. And then the Darkhold is like maybe making that more of a bigger deal to her than. But, I mean, even then, she seemed like kind of crying the whole time. And I wanted her to be pissed. I wanted her to be like.
Well, I think from an acting standpoint, I think that she was teary-eyed a lot because it was just showing. I think she was teary-eyed a lot, where it seems like she's just crying a lot. But I think that she was her eyes were welling up a lot, and it's just.
No, I'm talking about like when she's talking.
More of she's coming from an emotional standpoint as well as because she keeps calling herself a mother.
Yeah,
I'm a mother, and Strange and even Juan.
But I'm talking about when she's fighting.
You are not a mother. You are not a mother.
I'm talking about when she's fighting. She's like you and you. It's like be mad for a second. Be like I'm not talking about you can get swelly eyed and all that. I'm talking about she's like and you took them from me. It's like shut up.
Oh,
like that was just bothered. After it's like, come on, I want you to be a little bit more mad, and she kind of was in the beginning. But
you know what? If you notice, she did that even with Thanos. You took everything from me.
No, but she was more.
I don't even know who you are. You.
No, she wasn't that quivery though.
No,
she was more like.
You don't think so?
She was more like you took everything from me. She seemed more like a pissed Russian instead of. Well, I'm not going to say it. Anyways, look, she didn't do a bad job. It's not like she was a bad actor.
No,
it's nothing like that. It was just quirks that was annoying to me. However, I think that Rachel McAdams could have done a better job, personally. I've seen her do a better job. I just watched Doctor Strange, the first one, today. You know what I mean? But she is playing, they are in this movie, they are in a multiverse, in another multiverse, most of the film. So she is an alternate Christine.
Yeah.
So, yes, she's supposed to be a different character. I get that. But, okay. So let's bust into the main spoilers of the whole thing.
Do it.
So this one, if you're Marvel fans, you know what the Illuminati is. I know what the Illuminati is in the Marvel group, which consists of like your high major, most powerful players in the universe. Not the most popular characters, but in the story and the writing, who are the most powerful.
It's not to be confused with the Illuminati in real life.
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. But it is funny that but he's like Illuma whatty?
Yeah.
He says that in the movie. That's pretty funny. But so all of a sudden in the comics it's made up of Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Reed Richards, Professor Xavier, Iron Man, Namor. Well, this one they show up and right off the bat we see John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Boom.
Mr. Fantastic. In the suit. Straight up. We see Monica Rambeau's mother, which is it Maria Rambeau?
There it is, Maria.
That was drawing me.
She is Captain Marvel's partner in the first Captain Marvel, which takes place in the 90s.
She's Captain Marvel in this universe,
Right.
And the Illuminati. Charles Xavier's in it. Patrick Stewart.
Boom.
And he's not got a major role, but he's in it more than a few seconds. He's actually got some lines, and he's in it a few different times throughout the film.
No, I'll spoil it for you. She gets the best of him.
Yeah, and she breaks his neck in his mind. It was awesome.
It was disappointing, but
it was scary and creepy, though.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, and it's supposed to signify that she is even more powerful than mind controlling Xavier.
And look, and in the comics that makes a little bit more sense because she's Magneto's daughter, and she's a witch. And in the MCU, they don't allow the mutant thing to come in there, or they haven't yet because they weren't able to because it used to be two separate companies. Now it's all one movie studio, and they can do that. But it makes sense more in the comics that she would be able to overpower Xavier. But in this MCU, based on the rules they've set here, It doesn't make any sense. However, we don't have a Xavier in the MCU until now. So is that the Xavier that was in the X-Men movies, or is it another Xavier? So we don't know. But Black Bolt is in this, which was really crazy. He's super powerful in the comics, and they just X'd him out, which is a pretty clever way.
Real quick.
Pretty clever way, though, but it X'd him out quick. But I just thought that those Illuminati characters, I'm not thinking of missing anybody.
No. Captain...
oh, yes. Yeah. Peggy Carter is Captain Britain.
Yeah, Captain Britain. So, and What If... the animated series on Disney Plus about the what if this happened, she becomes Captain America, aka Captain Britain, by taking the serum instead of Steve Rogers, and they straight up have her in real life as Captain Britain in this universe.
Yeah, and your brother was saying that they were going to do that, and we were both like, nah.
Shout out to my brother Jacob.
He nailed it.
He said, I saw that. He's like, I saw that shield, and that looks like they're using Captain Britain instead of Captain America in the multiverse. It's like, oh,
he nailed it. And they all have a fight. I mean, there's an actual full-on showdown and everything. But I actually really like the America Chavez character, and I thought what she could do is great. But she's just. This is the way they tossed her in there is the way they've been tossing a lot of other characters at you. However, hers made more sense because of what her power is.
Yeah.
How she can just be tossed into a universe.
Yeah.
So I bought that a little bit more. I like that. And I liked her character. I was afraid I was going to be annoyed by a kid in the movie. You know how you have like Short Round and Indiana Jones too, which I love him obviously. But how sometimes there's an annoying kid in the movie.
Yeah.
Like enough.
Yeah.
But I actually felt her as really endearing. I thought she was a good character. She was funny at moments.
Yeah, or just throwing her in there for the sake of we need to introduce a new character, so here, we'll throw her in there. No. They did a really good job of throwing her in there, but you realize why they threw her in there the way they did.
And she's an important part of the world,
because her character jumps. She's able to jump through multiverses just at the drop of a hat. But the character development for her is she doesn't understand how she can do this. It happens when she gets scared or when she's stressed out, and so then she ends up realizing I can control this. And so that's the character development for her.
And I've always liked that with superpowers. I've always liked the parallel or the comparison of it's sort of like puberty in a sense. Like you you start working it out, and sometimes it doesn't
Right.
happen naturally. Sometimes it happens when you don't want it to happen, and it feels weird in front of people. But I just like that. But the older you get, you understand how to cope with those hormones or those emotions, and I just think that's cool the way that they do that in these movies.
And it's really cool that Strange, in a way, was not like Tony Stark, but Strange in a way was also able to be a sort of a adult figure to Peter Parker. And in this one, he's able to tell her, listen, you can do this.
He's a mentor in a way, and he's being a good man. And there's also some things in this about, which I thought was really cool. Every movie, I feel like, has a meaning, some sort of a undertone. That sometimes it's very apparent. Sometimes you don't even know it until someone tells you. But I feel like that there was something in this movie about second chances. It doesn't matter or what people really think about you or what your past is even like, because the way people talked about Strange and who he was, or Chavez, how she just had nothing left and she was running from everything. But Strange, all these other Doctor Stranges in these other universes were all turned out to be bad, and they all turned out to like make problems for the world.
Right. And
he didn't allow that stigma of people, these expectations like, oh no, but you've always done bad, so you can only do bad.
Right.
I just thought that's what the movie was
about. The Illuminati that you referred to, where you have this Professor Xavier shows up and Mr. Fantastic. This is in a multiverse where they have already seen Doctor Strange let the evil get a hold of him because he is doing it for the greater good, which is something that Thanos said.
Right.
So they're like, you are going to be just like the other Stranges that was in our universe. And so that was kind of a whole underlying theme of, listen, that's not me. That just because this happened over here doesn't mean that's me. Just because this happened in my past doesn't mean that's who I am now. So that's a pretty good underlying theme right there.
Even with the Christine, she was expecting him to make a decision in the end, and so was America Chavez.
Right.
But he didn't make the decision they were expecting, which turned out.
And she even says, "You strangers are all the same. You're always doing. You're always going for the dark hold, so you can do this."
Yeah, and then he's like, maybe we are, but I can't let her do this to her. And so, there was a couple moments like that were slightly moving, but I never, overall, I'm going to say this movie for me, it's a B+, and it's a strong B+. The only reason these movies now that I don't know if they're ever going to hit that A again is because what we were talking about them sort of, Marvel is more of, instead of being this small company that was really thirsty to make these awesome superhero movies, now they're a machine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I know they want to remain a machine so they can remain in the public eye and be prevalent. And I want a world with Marvel movies, not a world without Marvel movies. So I get it. It's just gotten so big. But it's the same thing with Star Wars. Once they started making a ton of them, they started to lose a little bit of their oomph. Batman. They just keep making Batman movies. It just doesn't mean as much anymore. And so I still think they can be good movies, but I just don't know if I can see them as an A anymore. I'm not saying that they won't come out with some awesome movies.
Yeah.
But we've been on the ride for a while now.
Yeah. For sure, Tom. It's 2008,
Jeez. But I love it, and I do think they did a really good job with this movie. It's scary. It's more mature. It's not really a kid's movie.
Yeah, very, very much.
It's dark. And it's complex, honestly. Kind of, and not in a bad way, but it's not. I think that a little kid would be either scared or like not, and be like, "What the hell is going on here?" But overall, I was happy. I really was happy with. I got what I was expecting out of this. I was expecting a Sam Raimi MCU Doctor Strange movie, and that's what I got.
For me, it was a B-, and really just. I thought some of it got a little bit messy with the multiverse and just, like I said, it's the multiverse of madness. Are you going to be able to, like I said, course correct? And I guess there's a little bit of just with Wanda. I felt like I said earlier, we had a great character arc with her, and at the end of the day, she's evil because she realizes that she is not a mother from a family that she created in her mind. Does that cheapen it? Does it not? Was there a way to make it? Was there a way to turn it a little bit more do something different with it. I don't know. I don't know.
I think that they probably could have. They probably could have made that mean something more to the audience and been more like to where you'd be like, "Damn, I see why you're doing this." Like I think that you're right there, but also I bring it back to the book. Also had its way on top of her,
right?
So she was dabbling in black magic, and it got its way with her.
But I did like Wong saying to her. He said, "Doesn't it mean something to you that the boys, your sons, that you created in your mind?" actually do live in another multiverse and they're happy. Does
with
that
their
not,
mother
with their mother? Does that not mean something to you? That is that's something that, man, that's a heavy line. And I like,
if you are truly here for the greater good, then you should be. That should be something that makes you happy.
And he's and man, there's another line, and maybe it's the romantic at heart for me, where Doctor Strange says to Christine in this multiverse where they're not a love interest, he says, "I love you, and I love you in every universe." Man, that is deep.
That was good.
That is deep, and I like that line.
That was a great line. That definitely was a good line. The more I'm thinking about the movie, because we just got out of it. The more I'm thinking about it, though, I mean, it definitely is a really good installment. Good one for Doctor Strange. About time we got a sequel. It's been forever. What did you think? Well, first off, you mentioned Wong. Wong had some serious screen time in this too, and he was very cool in it, very likable. Not that he's ever been not likable, but you get to really you're awesome in this, dude.
Yeah.
So I dug him a lot in it. But let's talk about the post credit scene.
Okay, here we go.
Well, one thing I got to say, Doctor Strange fights another Doctor Strange in this, an evil Doctor Strange who has a third eye. So at the end of this movie, Doctor Strange ends up with a third eye permanently.
Right here.
Right here, which he can open it or close it whenever he wants. But I don't think it's evil. I think he's just adapted that talent now. And it's giving him extra. I don't know.
No, I think because the last Doctor Strange that he encountered, the last of himself that he encounters is a Strange that had been gotten a hold of the Darkholds, which you'll learn when you watch the film. And I think that made a permanent thing on this Doctor Strange, and the Doctor Strange that we know from our universe, he had the only way for him to get to fix things, to right the ship, was to get a hold of the Darkholds, which is black magic, I guess, essentially. But he ends up, because he's still got a good soul, I guess you could say, he's able to overcome what the Darkholds did to all the other Stranges, which is what she says. Christine says, "All you Strangers are all the same. You always want to go for the Darkholds." He's like, "Well, yeah, this is the only way to get out of this."
Yeah.
And so he overcame the Darkholds ultimately, but in the sense that it didn't do to him what the other ones did. But at the very end, he has this freaking crazy breakdown. And then suddenly an eye opens up right here. And it has to be because he messed with the Darkholds, and it did leave something permanent on him.
Yeah, no, I think for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think that's there. And but it's kind of like it's just a little fun thing for you to look at the very end. We're like, oh shit, where are they going with this?
Yeah.
But then we get Then we get the post credit scene where it has Charlize Theron in it at the very end as a character called Clea.
Yeah, Clea.
So we looked up. I'm not familiar with her from the comics, but I'm also Doctor Strange was one of my more fair weather comics. I obviously knew of him and I knew about him when it was important storylines that were Infinity Gauntlet or Secret War or something like that. But I never read Doctor Strange every month. You know what I mean? So I'm not quite as. But between Charlize Theron being there and Harry Styles being at the end of the Eternals, I mean, boy, they got a good-looking cast coming up, huh?
She opens up a portal and she says, "Doctor Strange," and he turns around and he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "You need to come with me. You had," and I think they called it an incursion.
Yeah, you created an incursion.
You created an incursion by coming into our multiverse, by coming into our universe. You created an incursion, and you need to come with me.
And she just slashes reality open.
Yeah.
And it's just this crazy thing, and they just jump in.
Yeah, like an invisible knife that she just suddenly slices open, and suddenly this portal opens up, and
he puts his suit on.
And she's like, unless you're scared. And then his scarf turns into his cape, and then his eye opens up.
And he's like, nah, let's do this. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the suit was cool in this one too. The cape out was like partially on his shoulder, but then not on this side. I thought that was cool. Also, the alternate reality of them fighting Thanos. That was awesome.
That's dope.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
At the end of Infinity War when they're fighting Thanos and all that, or at the end of Endgame as well, and that's when Iron Man gets killed and all that. Well, it's basically kind of Doctor Strange standing there, and the Illuminati are all there about to execute him. Thanos is dead over here. Like it basically looked like Doctor Strange just got way out of control.
Yeah. The Illuminati on that other universe is telling him the story of what happened to their Strange, which is that he effed with the Darkholds for too long in order to kill Thanos, and it basically just took over him. Or they're like, we have to kill you now.
So and it looked like that he was going to maybe try to snap the universe or something.
Yeah.
Like it was very suggestive. You didn't know really what it allowed you to really like, kind of like listening to a Tool song. You can like think about 10 different meanings for it. It was cool.
I guess the one thing that I would say that's a little uneven with a lot of it is so you have multiple people, multiple Stranges, for example, multiple Spider-Men on different multiverses, right? But why do they share the same? Why do they suddenly in this film seem to share the same memory? Like Doctor Strange in our universe meets another Strange,
and they look the same.
Yeah, and they look
They're
the same.
identical, but Peter Parker.
They look the same. Peter Parker did not look the same. And Doctor Strange was like, "Prove to me that you are one of me." And he starts talking about a memory of his sister drowning.
Yeah, they're not supposed to have the exact same memories.
They're not supposed to have the same memories.
Or the same life.
Or in the same life, or look the same. So some of that is just so,
Well, basically, they contradicted themselves because basically in this movie they were saying everybody on different universes, you have another you look the same, you just do different things and have a different life. Whereas in Spider-Man No Way Home, if you're on another universe, you look different.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a whole.
And they're either going to right that ship, or they're just going to be like, I don't know.
And see, I think that they're going to be the latter. I think they're going to be, okay, well, we're just rolling with it because we're making money.
Which is, I kind of think what they did with some questions that arise in Endgame.
Or in No Way Home, too. No Way Home, there's a lot of things like, why didn't they just do this? It's like, yeah, you're right. Why didn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, with Endgame, there were a lot of people there were a lot of reporters or critics that were like, this doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. And they're like, oh, whatever.
And look, at the end of the day, I don't need it to pass a logic test. I don't. But I do need for certain simple things to be like, y'all should have thought of that.
Yeah.
But it's not ruining it for me. I just it is what I said earlier. It's just now these movies are just back to being fun comic book movies and not amazing epic films that changed my life.
Right.
Yeah. And which is fine. I wish they wouldn't do the Disney Plus shows. I kind of just think that those are diluted. I hate that you have to watch some of those to understand some things in the films because the films are clearly higher quality and higher budget. The TV shows are clearly TV show formulas. They just feel like TV shows when you're watching them. Like the first episode of Moon Knight felt like a movie. Every episode after feels like a show.
I'm going to contradict that for a little bit just because I think that it is kind of cool to see a Hawkeye story kind of lingering on post-Endgame and post Iron Man dying, and you don't need to have a movie to do that. You can show that in a mini series that's 8 episodes long.
Okay,
and that's kind of cool.
So the Hawkeye one, I thought that was kind of cool. The WandaVision is still the best one. The Falcon Winter Soldier one, it could have been better, man. It just could have been.
It could have been better, but that's going to lead into Captain America 4, which is going to be a major film.
Which will be, again, I just feel like the events that went down, though, in Falcon Winter Soldier with John Walker as U.S. agent, that's way bigger of a deal they could have put in movies.
That's probably a good point. Yeah.
But anyways, now we're just getting off on other Marvel shit.
Right, yeah.
Got to wrap this video up. We don't want it to be 3 hours long. So you say B-?
I give this a B-.
I give it a B+. So there we go. It is great. I definitely go recommend see it. You'll have a blast with it. It's a fun blockbuster MCU film. No disappointment will be had. It's just, like we said, the ride's kind of just getting...
It's not a Spider-Man film for people wanting to take their children.
No, it's actually creepy, and it's got some jump scares and some imagery that might haunt you a little bit. So I like that, being a horror fan. There's definitely horror moments in this. Oh, what about...
If you haven't noticed, we like horror films.
Yeah. Dude, what about when Wanda's chasing them through that tunnelway and everything?
Oh.
That was straight up like Michael Myers chasing people down.
real.
So that was cool.
And with coming up behind Professor X to snap his neck, and she's like completely black.
Oh,
that's scary.
It
That's
had
scary
a lot
stuff.
of great imagery in it. So for that alone, the movie is sort of marking off a milestone for me. MCU horror film. I thought that was kind of cool. So, all right, guys.
But it did come out months and months and months ago that this was going to be a darker Marvel film, and we just didn't know what that meant, and now we do.
Yeah, and they succeeded. I thought they were going to be like, oh, it might be kind of a dark Disney. No, it was actually a dark film. It was darker than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me and clicking on this video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. And if you haven't done so already, look up the trailer for Late Court on this channel. We're working on it right now. I'm editing it. I promise it'll be coming out. Working hard on it, but not sure exactly when. But like I said, it's our baby. So check out the trailer. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you can help us make it to the top. And as always, if life gives you lemons,
Make some hot fresh popcorn.